Awesome, awesome. Well, hey everyone, welcome. My name is Mo Daouk. I'm the VP of Marketing at NiceJob, and just want to say a huge thanks for all of you guys joining us today. If you run a home service business, you already know there's estimates involved, there's follow-ups, there's crews to manage, there's customers to manage, there's reviews. It's all happening at once. It's all coming at you at once. But the good news is today we're going to be breaking down how to simplify all that. And I'm joined by two absolute pros. We have Kurt Kempton, CEO of ResponsiBid, as well as JC Chanowski, CEO of Cape Fear Pro Wash. So welcome, gents. Thanks for taking the time today.
Yeah, of
Glad to
course.
be here.
Thank
Awesome, awesome. Kurt, JC, before we sort of dive in, if you could describe one word, or if you could use one word to describe what it's like running a home service business today, what would that one word be?
I think that word changes throughout the day and the time of
That's a good
year.
way of putting it. Yeah.
Right now, my current state is insanity. So that is going to be my word.
I like that. I like that. How about you, Kurt?
I think that tired is a lot of times what I hear. I hear people who are just constantly, and we are to the point of the season where burnout is starting to usually kick in.
That's right.
And so fatigue, maybe tired.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I can totally understand both of these words when it comes to describing it, because things are always changing and shifting. And but let's talk about that for a little bit. So, like, what trends or shifts, I guess, are you guys seeing right now in the home services space?
Kurt, I'll let you start.
Well, I think one of the trends that I'm seeing right now is this whole concept of like the sweaty startup. The idea that people are out there doing a lot of stuff, like really leveraging technology, so that they can do 10 times what businesses used to be able to do with only one person, right? And as businesses grow, this leveraging of technology, AI, and just all the different things at their fingertips, it's just like the world is your oyster in terms of what you can automate and set up. But the problem is that most of our people in this industry, they're not like, they don't love tech. Like they use tech because you can't really live without it. But the trends that I'm seeing is we're starting to see people start to try to do AI engineering and prompting. We're seeing people who are trying to really leverage this tech, because at the end of the day, you can't survive anymore as like just a labor powered machine. And so a lot has already transpired. I think a lot more is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those corners where it'd be really nice to be able to see around it. And everybody kind of has ideas about what's coming up around the next corner. But the reality is that right around this corner is another corner. And we see that. Just look back the last 2 years. There's been so many different corners we've already come around. So I'm really excited to see that people are expanding what they can do. And with, I think, inflation and everything else going on right now, it's also like this ability to become efficient. You have to be able to provide service efficiently. But it's happening, and people are doing it through lots of different means, and we can get into more of that if you want.
JC, do you hate technology?
No, I get scared of it right away as soon as it's changing. I mean, especially with AI, like as soon as you learn it, it's changed, it's evolved already to something different. So trying to stay on top of that is scary. Business is not for the weak, and I often see so many individuals who look at business owners like, oh, they got it easy, and they think the overnight success, and just you turn on the open sign and you're successful. And the failure rate is tremendous. So for the ones that are continuing and staying in there long, somebody said here 51 years cleaning, which is absolutely incredible, and still loving it. It's not for everybody. And I'm not saying don't go out there and try and start up a business today, but just know that it's not as easy as some people make it look. A lot of people literally put blood, sweat, and tears into this. grinding. You give up the 40-hour work week to work 80 hours, and that's what success looks like for some people. And Kurt, you laugh, but we laugh together because it's crazy and it's what we do. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade what I'm doing to go back to a 9 to 5. I would never want to get a normal W-2 working for somebody else. I love what I do. There's days where I just want to burn it all down and then burn it again just to make sure that there's nothing left to come out of this, like a phoenix. But it's truly incredible to be able to start something from the beginning, grow it, be successful, and then as you grow it, employ people and be able to be the provider for them and their families, givers in the community. And just be able to share that generationally. My father was an entrepreneur and I'm an entrepreneur. I don't, I'm not saying my kids will be, but there's an opportunity for them to be. So I'm just blessed to be able to be where I am today, and grateful for people like Kurt to help guide me along the way.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
I love that. Okay, so let's start with the big picture, right? When you look at sales workflows in home services, where are people winning? Where are they losing? And what's changed in your opinion? Maybe I'll start with you, JC, on this one.
I think the biggest thing most people, some people miss out on is the customer experience. They think that the phone rings. If it doesn't answer, I'll get back to it later. And that's not the case anymore. People want that attention, like the Amazon, they want it now. So really having stellar customer experience from that initial phone call to the sales process, to the follow-up, to the actual work being completed, whatever that is, or delivered product, whatever that is. And then even a follow-up after that too, as well. I really think that, especially for companies that have reoccurring business or, lifetime value or repeat over and over the years, whether it's semi-annual, annual, whatever the case is, having really good customer relations, customer experience throughout the whole process really will set businesses apart. And, right now I got two businesses. We got the pressure washing, the Christmas light business. And, we see that so many people are starting up Christmas light business right now, but nobody's answered the phone. They're spending all this money on marketing, whether it's Google, Facebook, social media, whatever it is, all this money going out, but nobody's answering the phone. And so they're just wasting all this money. Now they're losing clients, and then they're giving poor experiences for the service they're selling. So they're not going to have a repeat client. So the lifetime value goes down. The profit margins going down, all these things. So really having stellar knockout, customer experience from the initial phone call, having somebody answer the phone, whether it's AI or somebody, human answering the phone, just giving the customer attention, listening to their needs, exactly what they need. And then, on the flip side too, there's a lot of times where customers call us and we can't service them. And I never say, hey, we can't help you, goodbye. We always try and provide an option for them, because that goes a long way too, because they might want to come back and say, hey, we do need you now for something different. And, rather than us go chase another 7 companies, you gave us the best company to work with, and we appreciate that. So, whether you can work with the client or not work with the client, just continue or give them the best service experience really will set you yourself apart from everybody else.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true. I mean, that's definitely a trend. Many businesses, they do lose jobs just simply because they respond a lot slower than their competitors, right? But I definitely like that approach. Kurt, you've worked obviously with hundreds of home service professionals, right? What separates, the high performers from the ones who struggle?
Yeah, I actually would have a kind of similar question for you too, because I think that from your perspective, you probably see quite a bit in terms of spending your time getting reviews and using how people are utilizing their customer base to get more customers and reputation marketing. But for the question that you're asking me, that what I have seen a really divergent motion in sales over the last 5 years, but maybe I'll just even specifically say in the last 2 years, it's been a little bit of a crescendo. And that is that, in this Amazon.com world, our software offers something pretty neat where people can put their quoting system that their own salespeople would use on the website and allow web visitors to use it. And it's still a feature we have, But it used to be that about 70% of all quotes that went through our software came off of a website installation, meaning that a customer was self-serving. Where now it's almost 100% flipped. In-person or over the phone sales, in-company originated bids are for sure the highest by a lot. What is working, what people are doing and closing. And the higher the close rate of a company, or the higher the average revenue of the company, the more directly linear this in-person approach goes. So JC talked about answering the phone. I had the hypothesis, and I think this was actually true even 5 years ago. The hypothesis is that if a customer wants a price at 10 o'clock at night, they need to be able to get that price ASAP so they can move forward and do business with you. I think that is, certainly as Christmas lights come on the scene, higher average ticket prices, that's probably skewing the numbers a bit. But even as people are doing a lot more upselling, and I know ResponsiBid software is really geared towards that upsell, the extra human connection is mattering more. And I don't know, I can't say for certain. The data doesn't show whether it's driven at the point of the business's approach and what they feel is best. And that's therefore the customer experience. JC talked about customer experience, is that a lot of people are trying to push their customer experience forward. And then there's also a pull effect. Like, customers just don't respond to the self-serve approach anymore, or at least as much. This trend is undeniable.
Right.
And whether it's a push or a pull or a combination of the two, I can tell you that answering your phone is a key component. You already have a customer experience, whether you think you do or not. Like, your customers are having an experience. If it's something that you've curated, hopefully it's pretty good. If it's something that's just happened on its own, it probably stinks. That's also something that I've observed. But if you are answering your phone and getting a price to the customer quickly, and you can do it over the phone, you still get that human interaction. But if you're going to do on-site stuff, like, you got to be there like fast. Like, you got to be there fast, and the person presenting has to be good, because taking someone out of research mode and putting them into decision mode, it takes planning. It means we've planned how we're going to get this information to you, and we've planned how we're going to present the information to you. And if you do a good job on both of those things, people are a lot less price sensitive than you think. That's one of the things that's come out in the data, is that people who put energy into their customer experience, they have significantly higher average ticket prices, to the tune of when we first rolled out our bundles feature and videos integration, people were quadrupling their average ticket. We had people whose average ticket price was sitting around that $500 or $400 range, hitting the $2,000 average ticket price, and they couldn't believe what was going on. That's still true today, even though that was true, 8 years ago.
Right. No, we definitely see a very similar correlation, right? Like, when you look at businesses that are highly rated or top rated, they're able to charge a lot more, and they're getting those bookings because they're showing up more frequently on Google and on different platforms. So I definitely agree with you there. But it's also interesting because you're starting to see that dynamic shift. Like, we talked about the whole Amazon Prime thing, but it's almost like the home service professional now, or sorry, the customer that is looking for that service, they're almost expecting to make a decision a lot quicker, especially after they've done a lot of research. So I think now we're living in a time where a lot of research is readily available. And so when they're making a phone call, or where they're calling a home service professional, they want to actually make a decision, because our lives have just gotten busier in general, right? Everyone's gotten more and more busier, and their time has become a lot limited, right? So if you're not answering, they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to jump to the next person, and that's on their list. But I totally agree with that.
What do you see, Mo? If I could, I know you're the interviewer here, but I'm just curious.
Go ahead.
What do you see as far as energy, effort, attention to reputation marketing as it relates to like the size of the company? I mean, I realize that you're going to see a correlation that's a positive one. My question is, like, do you have to do a bunch of work to get it done? Because I'm curious if, like, you need to have more reviews than everyone in your market, or just a good number of reviews, or like,
Right.
how crazy do people got to go?
Well, I think it's more so about consistency, because the way like reviews work today and the way you're getting ranked in search is 100% driven by a few things in terms of when was the last review that you actually received, and are you getting new reviews? Because the way these systems are working, whether it's Google or whether it's ChatGPT, the way they're ranking these businesses when people are searching is they're going to look at these search engines are going to rank businesses based on how relevant are these companies. If you haven't received a review in 2 years, you know what I mean? You're probably not going to show up, unfortunately, right?
Even if you had a ton of reviews 3
Even if
years
you had
ago.
a ton of reviews, yeah. So they're looking for relevancy because your business might have gone under, right? It must have been a great business that's how they're going to perceive it. And then if you're not even responding to reviews either, that's which is another thing, then it's also going to impact you as well. So it's important to also be kind of active in that space. And there's obviously ways that you can automate all that stuff as a business owner. I'm not trying to plug just yet. There will be a plug at the end, right? But yeah, there's definitely ways we can automate a lot of that process. But I did want to ask you, JC, like, before you kind of, before streamlining your process, right? Because you're obviously, your business is pretty mature and things like that. What was your biggest bottleneck at the beginning?
Oh, me. Yeah. I knew everything, and there's nothing anybody can tell me how to do things better. It's, I hear that for a lot of business owners. It's like, well, one, nobody wants to work, which I don't, that's a different topic. But, once we realize that we are not the experts in everything, is once we can start actually doing things the right way. Like, I am the worst admin person. I am horrible. I enjoy talking to people, but I don't want to be on the phone all day. I don't want to be doing the follow-ups. I don't want to be sending out the emails. I don't want to be doing the touches and all those things. I'm good at sales, but I don't want to be out there in the field. So once I can relinquish control of everything and start putting the right people in the right place, that's where everything started opening up, and we started growing our company. And it was true. It was 2019. I just got out of active duty and really started focusing on the business full time. But I started making my first hire, which was admin. And then I started hiring people in the field to wash. And, like most people, I thought they could never do it the same way I could, and which is true. They can't do it 100%, but sometimes they do it better than I can. And the customers don't know the difference if it's me or if it's Mike or Sarah or Michelle or Jack out there doing it. We had proper SOPs in place, and, with the help of NiceJob, I just want to go look real quick. We have over 1,000 reviews between our two companies. And it's all 5-star reviews. And it's not because I did it. It's because I empower the people to do it for us. And our customers love everything we're doing. We talk about that customer experience.
Yeah.
They're out there doing the things. They're doing the follow-ups. They're making sure the work's getting done. And those 1,000 reviews are not because of me. It's because of the people that I put in place to help grow the company and get us to where we are today. So if you're sitting there saying that, nobody wants to work or I have to do everything, my favorite is when I hear people say, I have to answer the phone and talk to every client. No, you don't. You really don't. Yeah. Just somebody needs to answer, but I promise you, it's not you. If you want to, that's fine, but don't say you have to, because somebody else could do it just as good, if not better, as you. And that goes for any position in your company. And as my wife says, find what your unique genius is, what makes you happy. For me right now is being in the field with the guys or talking to clients and doing sales. But it's not answering the phone. It's not out there every single day. It's not every single job. It's just certain things that light me up and make me really excited to be there. Like the one person said after 51 years that, I'm out in the field today. I was in the lift hanging out with my guys, and I was loving it. I had no complaints, no gripes. I was right where I needed to be, and I was hanging out with the people I wanted to hang out with today. And it wasn't a job. It was just me having fun doing what I love.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, I want to talk about something I think that everyone sort of feels, right? Like, what is that? The gap between, sending an estimate and then actually closing the job, right? Kurt, like, what's the first thing? Like, we talked a little bit about automation at the beginning, but what is the first thing a contractor should automate if they want to close faster?
Well, I hesitate to say what they exactly should automate because I think that it could differ by market. I was just reading some of the comments in here, and Ken said that he usually makes people wait a day, next day. So if someone requests a quote today, he's going to get back to him tomorrow. I know that there's markets that would never work in. Like, you wait 10 minutes, it's gone. Like, it's over. And I don't know if he's in San Francisco or New York or these fast-paced places, or if he's in, maybe Tennessee or something, maybe somewhere that's a little bit slower paced. I know there's lots of different areas, but given the speed at which people make decisions nowadays, if you want to be part of the decision, you got to be there. My first thought on what you should automate might have more to do with figuring out what part of the customer service needs to run like clockwork. And answering the phone is so key. Like every few days, I have to call somebody in the industry, and I'll pick up a phone, I'll call somebody, and I get voicemail almost all the time, like almost 100% of the time. And more so, I assume on the weekend. That's got to be even more true. In fact, it was Ken. He said we're training our clients to keep weekends sacred for us and them. And the thing is that with the weekends being sacred, some people are at work all business hours every day, and the weekends are when they can get stuff done. So my encouragement would be build a system to where even if it's not someone in your company, JC talked about AI answering the phones. You can there's call centers out there that can answer your phones, and you can get VAs to answer your phones. There's so many ways to make sure that phone never gets missed, and then empower them with a system, whether that's an automated system or whatever. How fast can I get the customer the information that they want that will get them to a yes? I don't think that many people are giving quotes for Christmas lights over the phone. Why? Yeah. Well, we got to point at the tree. We got to point at which roof lines and these windows and this wreath over here and this tree right here look gorgeous in a multicolored light with, wrapping, it this way, like those things, getting them as quickly as you can to a salesperson at their house. That's going to be sort of the way. And whether you automate that or whether you systematize it, however, that's key. But there's other things where we can get you a price and get you on the books, like on the schedule books. Yeah, maybe you called on a Saturday, but can I empower someone on Saturday to get you on the schedule for Wednesday, because our schedule fills so quickly, right? Like you're lucky you called on Saturday and I happen to have one opening left on Wednesday, and oh my gosh, that's great. So that would be my thought is let's start with when the customer calls in that they're like, dang, these guys are on it. And the fastest way to stand out in the crowd right now is to not go to voicemail.
I love that. I think that's super important, especially like if you're trying to get answers on some of these estimates you send out and the customer's calling you back about that estimate, you better answer the phone call. JC, can you walk us through your sort of like estimate to close process, and did it change after you started using a tool like ResponsiBid?
Yeah, and it's constantly evolving, and we're still probably tweaking a little bit more, especially with the advancement of AI and some other things out there. I personally love the in-person estimate. I really feel that delivers a better experience. But some clients want an estimate now, and they don't care how they get it. So, you need to take into consideration. That's something you can have a conversation with the client while you're on the phone. Maybe it's an emergency service. Maybe they've already got 3 and they just need one more. They can't wait a week for this one. If you can't do it now, they're going to go to the next company. So understand that. But, for us, phone call, lead comes in. We want to talk to the client, see what they're looking for, qualify them, make sure they're a good candidate for us and we're a good company for them as well too. And then obviously get there, do the in-person estimate. And, depending on the industry, some industries, it's more technical and you can't give the estimate on site. You have to go back and do a lot of calculations, get some prices, things like that. As far as the washing, window cleaning, Christmas light, if you're not giving that estimate right there while you're talking to the client and you leave without doing it, I feel you already lost the job. This way, while you're there, Mo, you want the Christmas lights. We're going to talk about the experience that you want. We want to put the lights on, talk about it, show you the houses, give you a lookbook, get you everything, and then go through and show you the bundles that we have in ResponsiBid. And, just talk about, hey, these are the different prices. We have the Clark Griswold, the Bud the Elf, and the Grinch. Which one fits your budget right now? By doing that, I'm giving you the 3 options. That's 3 different bids right there. If you have any objections, I can go through it with you while you're there. Some guys just like to say, Mo, I'll talk to you later. I'll send you the estimate later, because they don't want to hear the objections. They're afraid. They just kind of pray that when they send it, you're like hitting the send button by turning away and everything like that. I like to talk to the client. I know that once I'm talking to the client, I can pretty much convert. I'd probably say 50% when I'm doing the estimates. Giving the estimate while you're there on site, you're going to have a higher conversion rate and probably have a higher average ticket by doing that too. So, for us, getting the lead, qualify them, doing the estimate in person. And then if they don't say no there, then we rely on ResponsiBid to continue our follow-ups with emails, text messages, voicemail bombs. We got to do the postcards as well too. And then we'll also do phone call outreach too from our office as well. We have all the three things that Kurt mentioned. We have 2 people in the office. They're absolutely awesome 5 days a week. We have a virtual assistant from Unique Genius right now. She's working on the weekends during the Christmas light season just because of the lead flow. We found that by not having somebody answering the phone and either whether it's a call answering service or AI trying to chase somebody down on a Monday when they're busy, we lost so many leads. Money was being spent for ads. They would call on the weekend and then we could never get back to them. So by having someone in the office on Saturday, Sunday, that really helped alleviate a lot of issues with trying to catch up with clients. And also follow-ups on the weekends have been instrumental. Like Chris said, they're busy during the week. Saturdays, they probably have some time to be able to answer the phone and talk about these things and want to discuss things. We just need to understand that the client may want to use your service, but every single time you're reaching out to them, they're just so busy. And I've had that happen to me before. Like I need something done, but when the contractors call me, I'm on a roof or I'm busy or whatever it is. It's never at the right moment. So understanding that the client might not be avoiding you. It just might not be the exact moment they're ready to talk to you or have the opportunity to talk to you.
100%. And just to kind of add to that is, did you notice then by nature of just responding faster, leveraging ResponsiBid in your process, did you notice customer satisfaction improving just from responding or following up faster?
Oh, we get praised all the time about our communication and all parts of it. I love it. Even to, now when I see an email come automatically from ResponsiBid, like a week after, 2 weeks after the client, hey, we're trying to get a hold of you. Did you change your phone number or whatever? And they respond, no, I'm sorry, I'll get a hold of you. It just cracks me up. It was an email we crafted like 2 years ago, but it's been in automation through ResponsiBid and it still works. They just need that little kick. That, hey, we're not trying to be a car salesman, but you called us and you want our services. There's too much communication. There's too little communication. So finding that happy medium to keep the clients happy and not pushing the spam filter is really important as well too.
100%.
That's more important than ever too, by the way, with the new rule, spam rules that have been out now for about a year, especially if you're using text messaging too. All the phone carriers have very specific rules. And I don't know if people realize this, but if your email address gets marked as spam more than 0.4% of all sends, I believe it is 0.4% of all sends, which is not a lot. Like you get marked spam a little bit, you might not be delivering to anybody anymore. So that's key. And then once a carrier cuts you out, that phone number doesn't send to that carrier anymore. And they keep pretty good tabs on that. So you want to make sure that when you're sending messages, even if they were crafted 10 years ago, JC is just making the point, you can still make things extremely relevant and targeted around the actual transaction / relationship that you have with the customer. Because that's the key. If you hit the customer in a way that is relevant and timely and informative, that right there is the key to making sure that you keep getting delivered, and you can basically send as much as you want within the reason. Obviously, JC said that you can oversend. So, you stay within the realm of normal, what people would not freak out about. 4 times a day is probably a bit much, but you can almost hit someone for the first part of the relationship once a day for a week if you're relevant and if it's targeted.
No, I agree. I totally agree. Okay, I want to now kind of move. So we've kind of covered, everything from the state of home service businesses, estimates to close. We've also covered a little bit about how to kind of follow up with customers on those closes as well. I want to shift gears and talk about going from the job being closed to now getting a review from that client, right? We know today, like, one of the biggest levers for growth in home services is reviews that not a lot of businesses actually utilize or take advantage of. But most businesses, they treat it as an afterthought, unfortunately, right? So I wanted to kind of break down how to systematize this a little bit better so that people can understand. And maybe we can start with just like, a question, and Kurt or JC, you feel free, whoever wants to answer this, but how can contractors build reviews right into their workflow instead of treating them like an optional step?
So for us, throughout the whole process, we subtly mention 5-star service, 5-star communication. Like it's just in our communication with our clients. So they're seeing it progressively throughout the whole process. And then obviously once we're done, we're following up to make sure that they're completely satisfied. If they are, we'll let them know. We're going to send a text message with a review link for the Christmas light side of things and the pressure washing side of things. Actually, now that I think about it, we have postcards that we leave on every single job. On one side is thanking them for their service and how we greatly appreciate a 5-star review with a QR link to our Google. So it goes straight to it. I think it links actually to NiceJob and then to Google. And on the flip side of that, the card is a referral link. So if they want to get us a referral, we'll give them a $25 gift card for pressure washing, or I think it's $200 now for Christmas lights. So that's there. And then again, with the follow-ups after the communication, the job's been closed out. I think maybe 2 more times we'll hit them up with a text message and email asking for that review. So we're very consistent about, and like I said, we had 1,000 reviews, 760 for pressure washing, or 730 and 260, somewhere around there was the number for Christmas lights and pressure washing. So it works, but you have to ask for it. You can't expect the client to just go ahead and do it. And that's where I think most people fall short. And then they wonder, or they don't even think about it too. It's like, I've seen guys in business for like 10 years and they have 4 reviews. And they say, all my views are on Angie's or Yelp. I'm like, who's searching that anymore? Like, nobody. Like, if I go to Google and I look for a business and you have 4 reviews, I promise you I'm going to the guy with 400 reviews. Like, it's nothing against you. I understand that everybody has to start up somewhere, but today I needed the expert, and you're not the expert at 4 reviews. So it's so important that you ask for it, and it doesn't hurt. Like, the clients, it's not like you're going done and you say, here's my tip screen. Like, you want to leave 30%, 40%, 50%? No, it's like, I'm asking for a review. That's the tip I want from you. Leave me a review. That goes a long way.
No, I love that. I love that. Kurt, anything you want to add on that?
When you asked the question, I was typing something to Anthony. So can you just refresh your? I'm so sorry. This is so embarrassing.
No. It's totally fine. I actually love that you're engaging in the chat already. I know we have a little section at the end of the questions, but yeah, I love that you're already kind of answering on some of those. The question was just more so like, how can contractors build reviews right into their workflow instead of treating them sort of like this afterthought that it is, right? I know JC kind of touched on, like, getting the team involved and, leaving postcards and things like that, and just mentioning 5 stars over and over.
Yeah, actually, I don't know that I can comfortably add anything to what JC said, because I did hear basically all JC's response, but I didn't 100% know the question. Let me just say this. JC, you just said something that I thought was just really enlightening. When I go to a counter to buy something like food-wise, and they flip it over because it's going to ask me a question. I have a new personal rule. I started 6 months ago, and I'm kind of outing myself right now. This is not like I consider myself a pretty generous person, but it got to the point where, like, you go to Dairy Queen and you order a Blizzard, and like the person behind the counter wants a tip, but the tip they want is like 20%, 30%, or like 10 million% or something. And I'm like, the guy or gal that's out serving tables is getting 20% to start, and they're working their butt off. They're going back and forth. They're taking my order. They're keeping my water topped off. And you took my order, and if your smallest tip you offer is 20%, like, I don't leave a tip. because you didn't leave me a 5. Now, what JC just said really hit me in my special bone. I was like, that's pretty special. Like, I'm not asking for a tip. I'm asking for a review. That's the tip I want. Golly, how could I'm just thinking right now, we could do that in our pre-job automations when we're confirming jobs or sending something like, hey, here's the crew that's coming. I know on ResponsiBid you can set different automations, but another thing you could do to set in a text message on the way or something is, hey, just so you know, the best tip you can give us is a review. So be on the lookout as we do our work. Make sure that before we leave, if we haven't done 5-star quality work, you're like, but phrase it as in like, I'm not asking you for anything other than a tip. Now, if your guys rely on tips, you got to be careful how you word it. But that all said, the guys out in the field are working as hard as a server. I'm not trying to like tell anyone what they should do about tip culture, but boy, how would that hit me? I was just thinking about how that would hit me if someone flipped it over and it said like, just leave a review right now. Like I would like find that refreshing.
I actually like that idea a lot. Like the idea of just like, as the person's coming to the job, just saying, hey, like you're actually setting the expectation even before somebody shows up and starts talking to them. Right. The more you kind of prompt that experience, that it also gives the business, it elevates the home service business, because then it's showing the customer how important, doing a 5-star job is, right? So it's already setting the stage, and you haven't even seen the person yet, especially if you've if you've quoted them in person, you've probably seen them, but if you haven't seen them and you're on the way, it's automatically setting that stage moving forward. But great transition, because I want to kind of talk about ResponsiBid and NiceJob and kind of put it together, because I honestly think that's where the magic can happen, right? And Kurt, maybe you can kind of obviously answer this better than JC, but how does the ResponsiBid and NiceJob integration fit into a contractor's daily workflow?
Well, you turn it on and then you're done. Like it's like you go, like you go connections, NiceJob, enable, authorize, you're done. But just so you know kind of how that will play out, when you turn it on, you just do your jobs. Like you give a quote to ResponsiBid, you go do the work. ResponsiBid, when you close the job, it'll automatically drop it into your CRM. Once it's in your CRM, the work order is there. Your techs are assigned. You go do the work. You knock it out inside of your CRM that it's done. That tells ResponsiBid time to start selling them again in 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it is going to be. But the first thing it's going to do, if you have the NiceJob connection turned on, is it's going to go send that information over to NiceJob. And NiceJob has this really cool machine learning about its campaigns, so that, if you finish the job at say 10 o'clock at night, it's probably not going to be the optimal time to ask for a review. So I really love that about NiceJob, is that it pays attention to when people are actually filling out reviews and when you're most likely to get it. So that's sort of how it would work. Now, with this kind of new epiphany I'm having, I'm thinking back to Bobby Walker. Anyone who knows Bobby Walker, if you don't know Bobby Walker, I'm sorry for you, but he's a really dear friend of mine, big NiceJob advocate, kicks butt, takes names. One of the things that he does is on that first phone call, and I've always known that Bobby does this. On the first phone call, the person calls and asks for da-da-da-da. He always works it in. Look, I'm going to give you a quote and everything, but just so you know, the most important thing that can happen in this whole thing is that I do a 5-star worthy review job for you. So that's why I'm asking you these questions. How big is your house? Do you need other services? I want to make sure that, and he uses it for upselling. He uses it for cross-selling. He uses it when someone has to be downsold. He uses it for making sure that the foundation of when his tech shows up on that job site, they are not just a technician. They are like more than that, held in a little higher regard. So, Bobby's the one that sort of talked about that. But if we're going to talk about the automation in ResponsiBid, I am thinking that something worth experimenting with would be, maybe the day before the job, having an email or text message that goes out that just explains the concept, that just says, we're going to be coming out to serve you tomorrow or in an hour or two. And when we get there, just know that our number one goal is to do that. And more than tips. And if a tip is for whatever reason not something that you are able to at this time, we understand the economy is rough or whatever, you can do so many cool things by just twisting that into like, but a review would mean the world to us. And that would lube for when that nice job review goes out.
100%. 100%. JC, what about you? Like what's been like the most noticeable result since you connected, the two, like NiceJob and ResponsiBid within your business?
It became easy. It really took the work out of it, the effort out of it, and to be transparent, I've been doing it so long, I don't even know how the process works anymore. Responsibility. I just know, like, I mean, I'll open the phone in the morning, and it's like a new review came in, and it's just fun just seeing it just automate, and it makes it simple for the clients. If you make it hard for the clients, they're not going to do it. But if you give them the easy button, click this link to leave a review, and it goes right to your page, whatever page it is. I think there's multiple options to go to. For us, it's just Google. And they click on it, log in, leave the review, then it's done. There's no thought like, oh, where do I have to go to find this? www.g.b, blah, blah, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just click on this link. And that's all you don't have to think about it. And if you don't want to do it now, it's there for you when you want to come back tomorrow night and do it. And like the times of the reviews are funny too, because I get reviews at 4 a.m. I get reviews at 10 at night. I get reviews at 2 p.m. So it's just, making it easy and simple. Again, they may not want to do it or have the opportunity to do it when you ask for it. But if you don't ask for it, they're never going to, well, I won't say never. They're not likely to do it for you. They will do it if you do a bad job. They love doing that. That's not an issue. They know how to find your review link when you do a bad job. But just keep it as simple as possible, just to continue on with that experience.
100%. And what would you guys say, like, for anyone that's sort of like on the fence, because there is automation involved between ResponsiBid and NiceJob, right? But anyone that's sort of on the fence about automation, like, what would you tell them?
I feel them, to be honest with you. I feel it. Like, automation it can be scary. And the reason is like, well, I don't want to ask for a review until I know for sure they're happy, and I get nervous. Like, it's going to just send stuff out without checking anything first. Like, and same for ResponsiBid, not just the NiceJob side of it, but also like I gave a quote and it's going to send an email when I'm not around to like make sure that I check the email before it goes out. And I feel that, like, I know, entrepreneurs can tend to be control freaks, and just, to call it what it is. That's sort of what goes along with your name being on everything. But I think that the way I would guide that thought process is yeah, but what happens if you don't? What happens if you don't automate it? The fact is that you can be very thoughtful about sending out one automation. And then when you have time, be really thoughtful about sending out a second automation and a third. And your experience with your customers will probably start pointing you into like, man, I send this email out all the time, or this text message all the time. I'm going to automate that. I'll tell you that JC said in the comments that he calls after every job for a review. And that's in addition to NiceJob. NiceJob sending out the email. The fact is that automation is a great safety net to make sure that you are presenting who you actually are. What happens is when we started this discussion, JC talked about insanity, like the one word to describe what's going on in his life as an entrepreneur right now. And that insanity is just part of the ebb and flow of like the life you live. Like, we chose this life, or maybe the life chose us. But the fact is that you are going to have times when you have time to call every customer yourself, and you can make sure everything happens. But we could do the same thing with employees, right? We could say, I can't hire an employee. I have to be the one to do this. I can't let anyone else. I can't let this out of my sight. And my encouragement to you would be to say, you are living on a limiting belief. And the question you have to ask yourself is, what if you don't ever relinquish that power to allow another employee to work? And what happens if you don't allow automation to work? And I think the answer to that question, if anyone really thinks long enough and hard enough about it, is that you need to. You need to get over it, and you got to do it. And your customers are expecting it, and it doesn't have to be done the way everyone else in the world does it. If you want to start slow, if you want to start simple, but just start. That would be my encouragement.
Yeah. I mean, and if I can kind of like say one thing from like the NiceJob or from the reputation marketing perspective, like the stats don't lie, right? And today, when you look at, how consumers are shopping and how they're looking for home service professionals, it's like 73% of consumers only trust reviews from the past month. So just let that sink in for a second, because that's a big number from the past month. So it's like if it's 2-3 months old, they'd be like, not really gonna go it. And on the same time, the other, like, one of my other favorite stats is it's 85% consider 85% consider reviews that are older than 3 months to be irrelevant. So think about that when it comes to automation. It's like your day-to-day is already super swamped as it is. It's one less thing that you can take off your plate, and you can continue to stay relevant online and continue for people to find you and book you for more jobs. But that's
because when I go to Amazon, I go to reviews and I click newest, and that's
we all do it.
I don't care about the best. I just want to see the most recent.
Yeah, 100%. It's the newest, and then was there ever a 1-star, and why was the 1-star? But no, I totally agree. But that's really the full engine, right? Like we talked about the estimate, the follow-up, the job, the review, and that kind of brings us to kind of the conclusion of what we were sort of talking about today. I did want to open it up. I know we're almost at the end, but I did want to open it up for some Q&A from the audience, if anyone has any questions. And then maybe as you kind of get your questions in there, maybe I'll ask a couple questions to, or maybe I'll ask the first question here to JC. What challenges would you say are you currently facing in your sales process today?
Good question. Well, for again, this is gonna be industry specific. For the lighting side of things, it's finding somebody that is not just transactional. The Christmas light side, it's very emotional, and finding somebody that can, whether they're dual purpose, maybe they're doing the pressure washing, maybe they're doing something completely different, roofing, whatever it is, that they can shift real quick to go from one industry to lighting, like in a snap of the finger, and show up to that job site happier than the client, no matter what's going on in their life, and be able to like over deliver that experience to that client, so that when you give them the estimate and you show them the bundles and ResponsiBid and you show them the 3 different packages, they're excited to go. We like to go with the Bud the Elf, the middle, which is usually around $2,200, our average ticket. So to be able to have that focus, to be able to know that, hey, this is my Christmas light, my game face here, I'm ready to go. That's been probably the biggest struggle over the years, I think, is really having somebody that can just, whether they're coming from the car sales industry or whatever industry they're coming to, it's hard to break them out of the mentality of like, this is different. And some really do good at it, and most don't do good at all. And we see that with the numbers year over year. That's probably why I end up doing most of the sales, and I just enjoy doing it. So I would say that's probably the hardest part for that side of our business.
No, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
I got a question here I want to kind of answer. Kurt already answered it too, but Anthony asked, what are your thoughts on answering the phone, even if you're on the roof, and telling the customer, I'll call you back in a minute instead of letting it go to voicemail? Anthony, for me, there's so many different opportunities for you to never answer that phone again. And, if you look at it as a cost factor, AI is a super cheap solution to be able to do that. And some people say, I don't want nobody wants to talk to AI. Well, we've sold tens of thousands of jobs in AI. I've actually had clients respond to our AI on our website, like actual clients that we've tried to get a hold of on the phone, email, text, everything. And they went to the website and started chatting with the chatbot, thought it was human, and sold it and said, hey, go ahead and get me on the schedule. And you can tell them that it's AI right away if you want to. You don't have to. Whatever you want to do, however you want to run your business. But that's a great option rather than say I'll call you back, because I'll call you back is they want to talk to you now, not in 2 hours when you have time. You may forget to call them back, and then you already lost trust in them. So AI is a great option. Somebody mentioned a virtual assistant, super affordable option. You don't even have to answer that phone. You don't have to call them back anymore because they're answering the phone for you. Having a third party answering service, hiring somebody. I don't think business owners, especially small, newer ones, overlook the cost of a call. And I always say, go ahead and figure out how many missed phone calls you missed during a week. Some will say 2, some say none. We all know you're lying. Even if you call them back 2 seconds later, that's a missed phone call. And then look at your average ticket and your closing percentage, and just doing simple math. If your average ticket is $2,000 and your closing percentage is 50%, well, then every 4 phone calls you missed throughout that week, you just lost $4,000. $4,000 already cost or cover the cost of AI, virtual assistant, or somebody to work for you. So stop losing revenue by thinking you're saving money and doing it yourself. The client wants to speak to somebody. They don't want to speak to you later. They're calling you because they have the opportunity to speak to you at that moment, not when you have time. If you don't have time for them now, you're not going to have time for them later. That's just my 2 cents on that, Anthony. Sorry.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so David dropped one here. We love the automation where clients get the review request link by text and email, but we've noticed that many clients still don't leave a review once that campaign ends. What's the recommended best practice after that? Should we restart the campaign, or is there a better follow-up strategy you suggest? Yeah, I mean, the referrals one is definitely one that we suggest, right? I mean, if you're not able to get reviews from them, referrals is another option, right? The new NiceJob Pro feature that we've just launched recently has a really, really strong referrals functionality as well. Because just because you didn't get a review from the customer doesn't mean you can't get something else from the customer, and that's sort of like what we're sort of building. But JC, actually, I want to get your thoughts on that. Like, have you run into that before?
Yeah, I mean, we've served thousands of clients, and we only have 1,000 reviews between the two companies. So you're not going to get everybody. But again, don't wait to the very last second when the job is done to ask for the review, or start bringing up the review process, the 5-star experience. You can talk about in the beginning, like Kurt said that Bobby does, multiple different ways. Again, we follow up with every single client on the phone after the job is done. One, we want to make sure we did a good job. If we didn't, how could we have done better? If we did a great job, that's awesome. Do you have any referrals that you can give us? And by the way, the best tip you can give us is a review, and we'll send you over a link. And by asking for it, then they're more likely to do it. And then we leave it for the automation as well too. So sometimes you just have to switch things up, maybe reword your strategy, how you do that too. But while you're talking and while you're closing out the job on site with the customer, if that's the type of service you have, go ahead and tell them, like, we'll send you a review link. Like, a review goes a long way. And, we're possibly here because of you saw a review on Google. So, we want to make sure we can service clients like you and meet the same expectations, but your review would mean the world to us.
Awesome. So we have another one here from David. I find that several phone calls that come in and every day are spam and not actual customers. Any way to tell the difference between actual customers and spam? That's a good one. Probably not. I don't know, but
yeah, for us, it's usually like the same 3 digits or like the name that comes up, or the location. It's frustrating, but you can't. I tell you, there's been times where I thought it was spam, and I'm like, what? Hi, this is KPR Pro. Oh, yeah. How you doing? Sorry, your number was blocked, and I figured it was spam. So you can't assume anymore, unfortunately. But I think there might be some spam filters out there. I don't.
There's got to be, yeah.
Yeah, I would just say this is a situation where it'd be very easy to trip over dollars to pick up nickels. Like, gosh, it sucks. I know, and mark them as spam. Like, figure out how to mark them as spam so that they can get shut down. There's now controls in place, and I think that we can rein this thing in. I remember when my email inbox was almost all spam, and now they've gotten so strict that like I don't see a lot of spam. In fact, unfortunately, I go on my spam filter and I find stuff. But anyway, the point is that don't say I'm not picking up my phone because I'm afraid it's going to be spam. Like, I just think that's a huge mistake. You gotta be there for a legit call. And if it means you hang up while they're mid sentence, hey there, we're calling about your Google. Okay, you hung up, you know. But whatever your system is in place should I think allow for the phone to get answered.
Okay, so there was another question here. It says AI also shows conversations about businesses in Reddit, etc. Curious if you have any organic or paid ways to get positive feedback into forums like this. Well, Reddit is becoming, I mean, from what we're seeing at least, it's becoming a massive space for people just to communicate, right? And so, it's the AI engines are also pulling a lot of Reddit content to answer questions because they're trusting it as like what they call like public opinion, essentially. And 40% of AI, I think it's like 40% of AI is Reddit. Like, 40% of AI is informed by Reddit, believe it or not, because it's a massive number because what's happening is it's literally leveraging the voice of the customer, right? So it's like actual answers to actual scenarios. So as business owners, I think it's important for you to start looking at that and looking at Reddit as a strategy, whether it's paid or organic, whether it's going on there, engaging in conversations every once in a while. Again, it's another thing to do, but yeah, it's an interesting. It's becoming very interesting because there's a lot of subreddits too for different industries, right? Whether it's landscaping or Christmas lights or window washing, and people are asking questions, putting it out there and saying, "Hey, I'm located in so and so city and so state or wherever it is, and I'm looking for a landscaping company. I'm looking for," and they're putting people are suggesting businesses in there as well, right? So,
Mo, that's so fascinating. You've really like kind of blown my mind. I always thought Reddit was where a bunch of degenerates went to go
that's what it was.
snarky stuff and like I mean so maybe one of two things is true now. Either I'm wrong and like Reddit is way different than I thought it was, or possibly AI just is fed with a bunch of crap fuel. But either way, I need to learn more about that because that was not really on my radar, that it was that big of an information pool.
Yeah, and like a lot of businesses, like they use it for just social listening, right? It's just get a finger on the pulse of like, is my business being mentioned there? Are people talking about me? But you also have to be careful how you engage with Reddit because it's a space that's like anti-sales, if that makes sense. If you go on there and you're like, "Hey, I'm XYZ landscaping, window washing, power, whatever company," then they're gonna just kick you right out because they want people talking to people. So they've kind of created this platform, and that's why AI kind of pulls that stuff and says, "Oh, hey, like this is what most people are actually saying." So it's pretty interesting how the way the world is kind of going in that space. But yeah, it's becoming more and more important for search engines for sure. Another question we got here is, what portion of your sales comes from referrals? How did you build your referral funnel?
Yeah,
go ahead, Kurt.
Well, I just wanted to ask, Mo, you said that you guys have this new referral feature in NiceJob. I actually was not aware of that. So I mean, I want to learn more about that. Although I think I'd also obviously want to hear how JC's implementing referrals in his businesses too.
Yeah, so we've launched recently like an entire what we call like the NiceJob Pro plan, right? So traditionally, NiceJob has been known for as a platform to just help you collect more reviews, right? And what we've done is we've sort of like created this pro functionality that essentially unlocks this full growth engine for your business. So the pro functionality will give you automated repeat visit reminders as well. So this is a really cool new feature now. So if your business has a lot of repeat business, it'll automatically schedule those things and those reminders for you. So you can book repeat customers automatically without even thinking about it, because sometimes getting a new customer is harder than going after an existing customer. So we can actually automate that process, and we've seen tons of success with a lot of businesses that are using that feature. So those customers keep coming back. The referrals campaign is a new feature that we have now, where you can actually set the rules and the threshold. So kind of going back to that question that was asked, where you can kind of set how and when you want these referrals to actually happen, and how you want people to actually engage with you. And the cool thing about the referral campaign too is you can set it up in a way where it's like, I only want to go out and ask for referrals from like my most happiest customers. So people that have actually left me like a 5-star review, only ask them because they might have a higher chance. Or you can say, I want to ask all my customers that have actually, like, that have engaged with me, whether they've left a review or not. So it really gives you the control of like setting the rules and the threshold. The other really cool feature that we have now is which was a big feature that was kind of we've seen over time, is businesses struggle to reply to reviews. And we know that replying to reviews just takes a lot of brain power and effort, and you have to sit there at the end of the day and be like, okay, what am I going to say to this customer? So we built an AI reply engine, so it automatically will generate a reply based on the review without actually submitting it. And then you can kind of go in there and just say, yep, I like it, you know what I mean? You just hit a button and it replies on your behalf. So it just literally minimizes your entire, like, day to day when it comes to that space. And then the other what was the other functionality that I wanted to talk about? So that was it. Oh yeah, so AI powered replies. But yeah, that's actually those are probably the 3 main features of the pro functionality. So repeat customers, more referrals, and then just that predictable growth functionality that we talked about with AI replies and so on. So
interesting. That's really cool.
A lot of really cool features now, because the way we're kind of looking at the platform now is we're moving it more from just being your typical reviews engine to what we're kind of calling customer driven growth, right? So it's like, how do we kind of create these tools that can help you get more out of your existing customers, and every customer kind of brings another customer, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, that's obviously always been the idea of referrals. I mean, if you can make that sort of like cool explosion, that's what we're all after.
100%. Okay, do we get any more questions? Let me see here. Going back to this.
Yeah. Do you just not to like hijack anything, but JC, do you have any special referral stuff you're doing to grow your businesses?
So, no is the easy answer. We do the postcards. We try and ask for referrals. We try and incentivize it, especially on the Christmas light side. It's a $200 cash. We're not doing like a $200 credit. So really, depending on what your industry is, again, and how big your ticket is, will determine how you want to incentivize your clients. Some people don't need to be incentivized, and they just genuinely want to refer you to people because they love you and want everybody to use you because you gave them the best experience. That's why we talk about that customer experience and how important it is to do that from the beginning to the end. There's affiliate programs where people will get incentivized. Like we've used Clicky before, where they get their own link and they get to share their link. If somebody's on Facebook and says, hey, I need somebody to use Christmas lights. Oh, go here. And then they get their own link. And then when somebody uses that link, it tells us that that Kurt shared somebody with us, and if they book it and they get scheduled and they get done, then Kurt will automatically get X amount of dollars put into his account. So that really gamifies it, if you will, and gets them excited to want to go out there and do the referrals for you. And now they're like little agents for you. They're little salespeople. They don't do nothing other than just share your link with people. But now there's an incentive for, like, you got stay-at-home moms that are just scrolling through Facebook all day in their moms groups. Hey, I need so-and-so services. Oh, here you go. Use this link. And then it goes right to the webpage. They know that it was sent from so-and-so. They book. They get the money. Do it that way. So I really think, nowadays people want an incentive to do good by referring you, whether it's a Starbucks gift card or whatever it is. You can figure that out with the client or have your own specials. But thinking about the lifetime value of a client, and if I don't have to go spend $100 on Google ads, and Kurt, you're my affiliate now, and I paid you $25, and everybody knows Kurt and they trust Kurt, well, I have a better chance of closing now. And I saved a whole bunch of money on ad spend. So, think about it outside the box. Don't think about let me just tell you to go give me some referrals. Well, what's in it for them now?
Absolutely. You know, the one last thing I think I want to add about the that I didn't mention about the Referrals Pro is what we're seeing with the Referrals Pro is we're seeing about a 5% conversion rate. So like if you think about it, like every 20 referrals that are being sent out, one new job is being booked. So it's automated for you. It's doing the job for you. And actually, what's and well, what I want to leave everyone with today is a special offer that we actually have right now. Black Friday is coming up around it's coming up really soon, and the promo that we have from NiceJob right now is we're giving away 3 months for $3. So you can use NiceJob, the reviews plan or the pro plan for only $3. You can try it for 3 months. So it's definitely a great opportunity to try all those new tools. And you know, JC, if you switch to pro later, I'll just pretend that this whole pretend the pitch worked really well. But like I said, yeah, like with the NiceJob Pro, you're you know, it's going to be more than just collecting reviews. But hey, I know we're at time. I want to thank you, Kurt. I want to thank you, JC, for a really awesome conversation, and everyone who joined us today. But like I said, big takeaway is you know, speed, automation is key. Close more jobs, and let's get 5-star reviews and go from there.
Hey Mo, I got your first sale. Victor's asking how does he sign up for NiceJob? Is there like a link to go to?
Yes, absolutely. So what we'll send right after this is we'll send out an email that'll have the offer. You know, it'll have all the stuff in here as well, so that you can get in touch with us, and we'll get you all set up.
Nice.
Thanks, cool. Mo. Thanks, Kurt.
Thanks.
Yeah,
guys.
It was great talking to you guys.
Likewise.
All right.
Take care, everyone. Bye.